They must beat Middletown today on the Cable 6 game of the week. The game of the week is brought to you by La Masquerade for fine dining, Route 17M, Goshen. First Care in Monroe. For immediate care, it's First Care. Short Line Bus, serving the Mid-Hudson area with a location near you. Maydee's Mattress Factory Outlet. Don't miss our fantastic anniversary sale. Joseph's Construction. Call the professionals. U.S. Army Recruiting Station. Be all you can be in the Army. John McMickle, your experienced county legislator in the new 21st District. And by the Villa Roma Country Club. Discover the difference. From Fowler Field in Middletown, this is the Cable 6 game of the week. This afternoon, the OCL American Conference. Pine Bush coming into the game at 1-1 versus the Middletown Middies, who enter this game 1-1 in conference play. Hello, everyone. I'm Gary Sussman, and welcome to another Cable 6 game of the week. This is a big game in the OCL American Conference. You only have 4 conference games, and for Pine Bush, the pressure's squarely on their shoulders. And joining me this week, after a 1-week hiatus, is Mr. Mike Terrell. Mike, pressure Pine Bush, Middletown can be loose.
I'd rather be sitting in the Middletown locker room today, Gary, because you can come in with the feeling that let's go out, have some fun, play some football, and hold on to that thing, and maybe we could pull an upset here and an outside chance. If you're Pine Bush's locker room, you got to keep reminding your players that you got to have this one, and that puts a whole different frame of mind on the game psychologically for Pine Bush. They come out, they'll probably be just a little bit more on edge than you'll see the Middletown guys. I'd be surprised if that weren't the case.
Not a bad day for football. Temperature's near 50 degrees, but there's really not that much wind, so it shouldn't affect the play at all.
No, it really shouldn't. It's a nice day to play football. The guys aren't going to have a hard time loosening up. They've been out a couple times already, and when they come out today, I'm going to be interested to see just what way Pine Bush takes that pressure. If they go to the air, we've seen Coates have a good day doing that, and of course they got the doctor of hurt, as you refer to him, in the backfield, and we know what he can do.
Let's take a look at the teams in this afternoon's contest. First of all, the Middletown Middies. They came into this season with very high hopes, but they have been playing a little bit inconsistent, going 3-2-2 overall this year. Last week against Washingtonville, they blew a 14-point lead in a game that left head coach Dick Wolslayer shaking his head.
It seems everything that I've been calling or doing, it seems to come out wrong. I mean, you call for just a common, ordinary quarterback sneak on a 4th down and inches, and you know, when you run a wishbone, you come up with situations in which you that 4th and very close to go, and you got to go for that type of thing. Sure, we could have kicked, but we were kicking into the wind, and Washingtonville likes to put you in that kind of situation. So you know, I don't feel that we're making wrong moves on the sideline. The turnovers and penalties have been killing, and you know, hell, I got what I consider a good football team. I got some good athletes, and the heads in the game, and their you know, practice days and intensity before the game. You can't ask for anything better than what they've given me. But you get out there and certain things happen, and then the momentum shifts, and then more mistakes happen. I think what happens a lot of time with our kids is we make a mistake, and that tightens everybody up, and then they're all trying to avoid the next mistake before the next mistake even comes easier. It's funny, you know, we've fumbled so many times, and before the ball, even on the ground, signals given that the ball's going the other way, our defense is running on the field. And this is, these kids like to play defense, but you can't stay there the whole day, and that's what it boils down to. They have a lot of pride, Gary, and I think this is what it's really going to come down to, the pride inside. And then we're going up to Kingston, and we want to show what we can do down here in this neck of the woods. So we're not going to roll over for anybody. And as long as I'm coaching here, I believe that these kids will come to play. And Pine Bush knows that. I don't think Marshall's a fool, and he doesn't think that, well, now he's going to have to look ahead, because we're going to hit him. We're going to hit him good. And if our offense comes together, you know, and we cut down on the 15-yarders and the fumbles, we're going to give a lot of people trouble.
Fumbles and turnovers. Last week against Washingtonville, Middletown fumbled the ball 6 times, and 4 of those went to the opposition. And in a conference this competitive, you can't give your opposition that many extra chances to score against you.
No, you can't, Gary, and I think that's been the big problem for Middletown all year, and a real problem for Dick Wolfslayer. I think he's come with a team this year that would look very competitive, and have through 3/4 of almost every game. The problem has been the discipline on the team. They just don't seem to keep it together. They don't seem to be able to concentrate for 4 full quarters on the job at hand. And that's a tough thing for a coach to have to deal with, besides all the other aspects of coaching. So today, I think that some of that pressure is taken off. Basically, they can come out and play football, and maybe because they'll be a little more relaxed, that may help them against Pine Bush.
And Dick mentioned the quality athletes that he has, and he does. Preston Hasbrook, Wesley Smith, Dave Fenner, Fotis Matavelis. There's some good ball players on this field for Middletown.
This Matavelis kid is a heck of a linebacker. I know today they're going to move him up and come with a 5-man front against the run of Pine Bush, but he's just a good all-around ball player. Preston Hasbrook, I think he's an excellent running quarterback. He'd be good at halfback or fullback. And Wesley Smith, I think he's very entertaining. He's a guy that can do a lot of things with a football if he holds on to it. He'll do that.
As far as Pine Bush goes, they must win their remaining 2 games to have any shot at winning the American Conference Championship. But as head coach Marsh Canosa told me earlier this week, having an outside shot is better than having no shot at all.
Obviously, I don't want to be in a position where you got to win 2 to have a shot to win. But in this conference, the way it's set up, every game is important, and you've got to win them all. You've got to win them all. We've lost 1, and we still have a chance, and we're thankful for that. I've been through a bunch of tough games in a row in the last 4 or 5 weeks, and it's hard. It's very difficult to try and get them sky high every single week. And we decided to approach it on a build to Saturday type basis, rather than yell and scream at them on Monday. We're trying to build up so we all peak on Saturday and not before. What we're trying to do right now is build to Saturday. Like everybody else, we have bumps and bruises, knock on wood. Fortunately, we don't have anything that's going to keep anybody out for a long period of time at this point, but that's a big factor right now, is the injury in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th game of the year. We've been striving all year to have our balance to go 3-to-1, 3-run, 1 pass at this point. Our strengths right now, I think, defensively, we've been consistent. Offensively, in the last couple of games, we haven't scored that many points, but we've moved the football, and the idea now is to get it across the goal line. We just have to come out and play, with our heads a little bit, as opposed to with our bodies only. I've known Dick for a couple of years now, and anything, anybody can do anything at any time at this point. Dick wants to win as much as I want to win, for sure, Dick Wolfslayer. And whatever he's got to do, he's going to do to win. I'm the same way.
The Pine Bush offense is based on the ground game. Rich Cameron, Doug Murphy, and Tony Watkins. They've had problems scoring in the last several games. They have to get on track to have any shot this afternoon.
Well, Gary, defensively, it's a little bit easier to defense the run than a team that runs and passes well. Pine Bush has not shown that they've been that effective. A couple of times Coates has been. So you can set up your defense a little bit better against Pine Bush, I think, than you'll be able to against the options off the wishbone of Middletown. Marsh Canosa, it's always tough to bring a team back and repeat, no matter if you're a conference or a league champion. So everybody's out to gun and to get you. And that's basically what's happened to them this year. Teams have been keyed up when they come in to play Pine Bush.
A new feature this week on the Cable 6 Game of the Week, sideline commentator Ray Jarrett. And you saw him last week as my color commentator against Minisink Valley, and thank you very much for joining us. Defensing the Delaware wishbone tee, or the Delaware wing tee for Pine Bush, and the wishbone for Middletown. From a defensive standpoint, how do you defense both of those?
Well, the Delaware wing tee is an offense that features a fullback. You have to give him the ball, and it's power football with Cameron. They use him a little unusually. He stands very close to the quarterback. He's in a 2-point stance, and he hits very quickly and very powerfully. So he's a one-man power and quickness attack. Usually when you have power, you got to have a lead blocker in there. So he sets the whole thing up. Then they go to misdirection. The misdirection they use will be a fake to the fullback, and then the halfback will come across behind the fake to the other side, and they'll be trap blocking that. And then they also use an inside counter where they'll fake something to the outside, and they'll go back to the wing back. a lot of things can happen off the Delaware wing tee. It's a very balanced type attack. You can throw from that, you can pass from that, you can even run the option, which I understand they do. Now, when you defense the wishbone's a little different story.
Something we saw last week defending the wishbone.
Yes, it's very different than the wing tee. The three-deep secondary that Pine Bush has is going to give them trouble because they run what's called the lead option. Now, the wishbone has a fullback and two halfbacks behind it, and if they're running to the right, they'll fake to the fullback, and the quarterback will go down the line and have to be handled by a defensive end. The lead back will now block the linebacker, and they'll pitch to the halfback. There's nobody really to cover it when you have three deep because the cornerback has to go deep with the end. So it's going to be interesting what kind of adjustments they're going to make to defend this, and I think that'll be the key for me to watch beginning of the ball game, how they're handling the pitchman.
The ground attack of both teams may determine who wins this contest this afternoon. So stay tuned. It should be a dandy. Pine Bush versus Middletown, OCL American Conference Showdown. When we come back the first quarter, you're watching the Cable 6 game of the week.
La Mascarade, Route 17M, Goshen.
Tired of your home's appearance? Then revitalize your home with Durastone.
Durastone.
Exclusively installed by Joseph's Construction. Durastone is a superior quality stone veneer that can be applied to any existing surface. Durastone helps insulate your home and will never need maintenance. And Durastone is available in a variety of designs and colors that will add natural beauty to any structure. Revitalize your home with Durastone.
Durastone.
By Joseph's Construction. For a free estimate, call 1-800-824-7888, operator 611 today.
And welcome back to Fowler Field, homecoming day here. Middletown, Pine Bush, OCL American Conference. Let's set the officials for you. Steve Fowler, the dentist from Matamoros. He'll be our referee. John Carnwright, the umpire from Saugerties. The line judge, Russell Smith, also from Port Jervis. And the linesman, Tom Fenton from LaGrangeville, New York. The timer, not Al Smith today, but A.P. Smith. He comes also from Matamoros, Pennsylvania. Pine Bush will be in the away white with gold pants. Middletown in the home blue and white. Pine Bush to our left, Middletown to our right. As we said, this is a do-or-die situation for Pine Bush. They cannot afford to lose this game if they want to repeat as American Conference champs. A vocal crowd on hand, and Mike, I think that the first several series of downs may determine this ball game. We'll have to see if Middletown comes out loose and if Pine Bush comes out tight.
Well, without a doubt, Gary, the Pine Bush wants to come out and stop Middletown on the first series of plays and hand the ball over to their offense and have some success with it. So I would agree that early in the game is an important part. I think more for Pine Bush, though, than Middletown. Middletown's going to have the opportunity today of being able to play relaxed, let's have a good time type of football.
Preston Hasbrook and William Call Me Wuzzy Smith lining up at the 10-yard line. And during this ball game, in case you missed our pregame, Ray Jarez will be standing on the sidelines, and he'll be giving us his analysis from the sidelines this afternoon. John Dora kicking off for Pine Bush, and Hasbrook and Smith. And neither will come away with that kickoff. Tom Owen intercepting the kickoff in front of Wuzzy Smith.
He's new. I don't remember Owen being up here before, but he went back and took the ball going back and ran right into Wuzzy Smith, who was waiting there to take the ball for his attempt at a run back. And they will now take over on about the 18-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 from Middletown with Preston Hasbrook over center.
Dan Rivera, William, Wuzzy Smith, and Glenn Morris in the backfield. We'll set the rest of the line for you as time permits. Hasbrook, 8 touchdowns on the year. He can run and he can throw. And Dan Rivera is stood up at the line of scrimmage. That front line of Anderson, Westbrook, Torchio, Kevin Holland, and Henry Smith for Pine Bush. Holland in on that tackle. Dan Wyman at one linebacker, along with Rich Cameron and Doug Rowe. They will alternate. Watkins, McKenzie, Murphy, and Ed Rampy in that defensive backfield.
Gary coming out right there, Fotis Manavelis limping off the field on the very first play of the game.
And he is a key ingredient to both Middletown's offensive and defensive attacks. Dick Walslayer calls him the spiritual leader of this Middletown football team. Preston Hasbrook on the option right side, getting very close to the first down. That's the wishbone that we were talking about. And Preston Hasbrook has three options there. He can give it to the fullback, he can pitch it out, or he can keep it himself.
Hasbrook's an excellent runner, Gary. He had room to the wide side there, and what he did, Smith couldn't get out in front of him to help him block out Watkins, who eventually ran him out of bounds. Otherwise, he easily would have picked up the first down.
3rd and 2. First third down of the ball game for Middletown. This is the first series of downs in this OCL American Conference matchup. Hasbrook, and he's got an opening, but quickly closed up by the Pine Bush defense. And Hasbrook is dropped short of that first down. In on the tackle, Danny Wyman, linebacker up from the JV. And as Mars Canosa told me earlier in the week, this is the time of the season when you need to bring some guys up from the JV. A lot of bumps, a lot of bruises. This last third of the season really takes its toll on the players.
That was a busted play. The man, the first man through was supposed to get the ball, and he ran right past Preston. Now he lines up back in kicking formation.
Hasbrook will be lining up at his 15-yard line. Shannon and Rampy back deep for Pine Bush. Good kick by Hasbrook. Rampy at the 32. Has some room around that left side. And a nifty piece of running by Ed Rampy as Wuzzy Smith had him dead to rights at the 29. Reversed his field and got up close to midfield. Call it the 44-yard line of Pine Bush. Damon Hasbrook make that Bob de Beauvernay, finally pushing Rampy out of bounds on that far sideline. But Pine Bush starting out in excellent field position, and let's set that offense for you. George Coates is the quarterback, Cameron, Watkins, and Murphy in the offensive backfield. Rampy and Shannon will split at the offensive end. Anderson, Malloy, Smith, Rafferty Rowe, and Basello, the offensive line for Pine Bush. Quarterback draw, Coates. John Zane, number 74, 5'10", 240-pound junior in on the stop. Let's set the front line for Middletown, and they'll go 5 today as opposed to 4. Dave Fenner, John Zane, Mitch Serrano, Vinny Azu, make that Mitch Serrano, John Zane, Dave Fenner, Fotis Manavelis on that front 5. Jeff Klein, Bob de Beauvernay, Clemmer, and Gage are the linebackers. Schwab, Carroll, and Imbrogno in the defensive backfield as Murphy goes in motion and gets the handoff. And has some room, the first down and more. Brought out of bounds by Al Schwab on the far sideline. First down of the ball game for Pine Bush.
Gary, already Middletown has moved Fotis Manavelis back off the line now, and they're going with a front line of Azu, Serrano, Zane, Fenner, and they've moved in number 99 now. Clemmer has moved up onto the line, and they've taken Manavelis, who is a tremendous linebacker for Middletown, back off that line.
First down for Pine Bush as they get into Middletown territory at the 46-yard line. George Coates will call signals. Cameron, and he's got plenty of room and more. Cameron with a first down. And Pine Bush exploding out of the starting gates here, Mike.
Gary, it's great that we have Ray down on the sidelines today because he's going to be able to give us a real good feel for that line of scrimmage and who's winning the battle off the line. Here you see Cameron, something he doesn't usually do, run wide. He had only one lead block, and the rest did it all on his own with the power of his running.
And right now, Pine Bush winning that line of scrimmage. Cameron had a head of steam and more that time as Watkins goes in motion. Again, Cameron lowering his head and taking people with him. Fotis Manavelis in on the tackle. Rich Cameron exploding into the secondary of the Middletown Middies.
Usually don't see Cameron run wide to tackle, but that's 2 plays in a row now. He's done it with success. Usually see him on what they call a 0 dive or a 1 or 2 hole dive.
2nd down and 4, 8:49 and counting. Vocal homecoming crowd here at Fowler Field. Pine Bush needing to win this game and next week to have any shot at repeating as American Conference champs as Murphy goes in motion, keeps his balance, and has the first down over the 20 down to the 17-yard line. Again, Fotis Manavelis in on the tackle for Middletown.
The running game of Port Jervis looks like it's been revved up a little bit. They're
Pine
coming
Bush.
out firing. I'm sorry, Pine Bush. I'm in another field, excuse me.
Dave Fenner out. First and 10. Again, it is Cameron, and Cameron continues to find the holes in that Middletown defense, and he's going over that left side, which would be Henry Smith and Tom Malloy.
Watch the replay here, and you'll get a good look at just how he's running. Here you see the handoff, just a straight thing. The guard pulls out, but nobody there to hit. Straight forward down to about the 8-yard line. Second and about less than a yard.
Call it 2nd and 1. Rampy is split wide to the right. This drive started on the 44-yard line. Cameron, he's got the first down, and that will set up a 1st and goal for Pine Bush. So that offensive attack, that ground game, that wing T, coming out of the gates like the Breeders' Cup at Aqueduct this afternoon, hot and heavy.
They sure are, Gary. They're coming out charged up. They're really firing off the line of scrimmage. The guards are pulling quickly to take out the defensive ends and the linebackers who are trying to narrow down the field on the Bushmen.
4th first down of this drive. 1st and goal. Cameron. Rich Cameron, touchdown. Rich Cameron from the 5-yard line. And Pine Bush on the board early here in period number 1. That drive covering 56 yards. And Rich Cameron did the bulk of the running during that touchdown drive.
Gary Cameron is a true power runner. As he got to the goal line, he lowered his shoulder and just completely annihilated number 34, Al Schwab from Middletown. He just ran right over him. It didn't even break stride.
John Dora on the extra point. The kick is up, and the kick is good. So with 7:26 to go, period number 1, Pine Bush on top by a touchdown. Let's go down to Ray Jarrett on the field. Ray, what about that touchdown drive?
Well, Gary, they've been establishing themselves on first down every time. And on that particular drive, they were sending Cameron off tackle. They weren't running the 0 and 1 hole, as Mike said, because it was a wide tackle 6, which says, okay, we're not going to let you run inside. You got to run outside. And they were intelligent enough to go ahead and do that. And if they establish Cameron, then everything else works for them. A great confidence builder for Pine Bush, who's been down the last couple weeks, and a great start for them.
Ray, it looked like Pine Bush was blowing Middletown off the line of scrimmage, giving them 2 and 3 yards for their runners to get ahead of steam up. And they did have a head of steam.
They sure did. And as Ray pointed out, Gary, they were trying to contain them to the middle with the wide, making them go to the wide and then bring the linebacker up on the outside of it. So they didn't have a lot of success at that. Let's see if Middletown changes the defensive formation.
9 plays, 56 yards. Cameron 37 of those 56 yards. All on the ground for Pine Bush. Dora with a sidewinder. Taken up short by Clemmer. Over the 35, the 40, brought down near the 40-yard line. Middletown takes it over 1st and 10 in excellent field position.
He's a good runner. Clemmer's a strong runner, big boy.
Big boy. How about 5'11", 204, and can push people out of the way. He looks a little bigger than 5'11".
He sure does. He looks a little taller. Looks like good power forward.
Okay, Middletown now with excellent field position, and they cannot afford to fall behind in this ball game. Pine Bush coming out with early momentum. First man through is Rivera, and he gets a yard, maybe 2 on the play. Dan Wyman in on the tackle, number 44 for Pine Bush.
This kid could only play JV football, huh?
Let's go down to Ray Jarrett.
Gary, what you will see is Pine Bush is using a pro box. They have 6 down people, counting the ends. We'll count them as down, 1 middle linebacker and 4 deep. That's how they're defending the option. That's how they got their 4 deep.
2nd down and call it 9. Hasbrook, he's got some running room. And finally, brought down is Preston Hasbrook.
Talk about a determined runner. That was Preston Hasbrook on that run for 29 yards, and that was no scamper. That was just a good bullish run. Got to the outside and a couple of good blocks by his teammates laid on the Pine Bushman, and then he just carried a few for a couple of extra.
And Ray was talking about that six-man front, and when you get past that front, you got plenty of open room. Morris. Saving tackle by Rampy.
Good cut by Morris. Excellent looking run there.
Showtime here in Middletown.
I love it when they do it.
The crowd is wild. They are pumped.
Got to be happy with this one. They're keying on the QB, and look at this little nice blocking up front. All right, guys.
1st and 10 now from the 17-yard line. Middletown on the move. Hasbrook on the option. Brought down. Nice play by Holland. Kevin Holland, number 67, along with Bill McKenzie, number 46, and on the tackle. That time, Holland read the quarterback, read him well, and would not let him get to the outside.
2nd and 12 by Hasbrook, too. Give Preston some credit there. Earlier in the season, we saw him try and flip a ball when he was in that type of entanglement. This time, he tucked it into the belly and went down for the loss.
2nd down and call it 8. Make that 2nd down and 12. My mistake. Morris again. Matt Shannon.
Morris hits the hole pretty quick there, Gary. Number 30 from Middletown. That's twice we've seen him carry the ball, and he's hit that opening real quick. And if you're going to be successful, as Ray told us with that six-man front, you've got to get into the secondary quickly.
3rd down and 8. 4:52 to go. Period number 1. Pine Bush on top by a touchdown. Hasbrook. Pitch out Morris. And he just ran out of real estate. Ran to that short side of the field and just had nowhere to go after that.
Now you got an interesting call. You got 4th down and maybe 4, and you're down inside the 15-yard line, or inside the 10. You're right at the 10-yard line, actually, and you got to get the ball to about the 6 to get a 1st down. This is an interesting call coming from the bench.
Smith, Morris, Rivera behind Preston Hasbrook. Hasbrook looking to turn it upfield and has some room. He's got the 1st down.
Did a lot of that on his own. Preston Hasbrook showing you the value that he is to this team, but he gets up limping. Look at this. This would be a shame if this kid is hurt. He's an exciting ball player. Watch him. He fakes the little hip move there and just enough to get him around the corner. Nice run. He got hit hard.
Got by Doug Rowe, Mike. And that will set up a 1st and goal now from the 4-yard line. Dick Wallslayer said his team would not lay down, and he is absolutely right. They have come to play this afternoon, and now we have a whistle and a flag on the play. We'll wait for the call.
No, we got movement. I didn't see it. Against Middletown. That was a good call on 4th and 4.
That'll push it back 5. Let's go down to Ray Jarrah's on the field. Ray?
Gary, a wishbone offense is a goal line to goal line offense, and they had that short yardage situation. I think Middletown knew what they're going to do. It's the kind of thing you can run when you're on your opponent's 1-yard line and your own 1-yard line. Hasbrook got very high marks. I spoke to Frank Green last week. He said he's an excellent quarterback, and this has been a Preston Hasbrook drive all the way.
1st and goal from the 9. Morris. Bouncing off of people. Rampy. Gain of maybe a yard on the play. And Morris seems to be slightly injured. Referee's timeout. Ray, could you see what happened on that play when he was brought down?
Gary, I didn't get a great look at it, but I think he got slammed on the back of his head, possibly. A lot of times in football, you get injured because you tuck your head or you get hit in the back of the head. And I think possibly that's what might have happened to him that time. I don't think he's hurt too bad. He seems like he's moving around all right.
On the replay, Ray, we saw that he was pulled down by the shoulder pads and maybe just has the wind knocked out of him a little bit.
Okay.
It'll be a 2nd down and goal. Middletown started this drive on their 40-yard line. The big play so far, a 29-yard run by Preston Hasbrook off the wishbone. And Preston Hasbrook has 8 touchdowns rushing this year, Mike. Preston Hasbrook makes that wishbone go. He is the key, just like when you were in Oklahoma, Jack Madden was the key.
That's right. Gary, here, Hasbrook does show the ability to run the wishbone very well. We got a timeout now for the injury on the field, so let's take a break.
We'll take a break. 3:46 to go, period number 1. The score, Pine Bush 7, Middletown nothing. When we come back, more from Fowler Field. You're watching the Cable 6 game of the week. It's anniversary time at Serta Mattress, and May D, Serta's largest area dealer, is celebrating. Up to 50% off any Serta mattress or box spring. Thousands in stock to choose from. And at May D's Mattress Factory Outlet and May D's Sleep Shop, there's never a charge for delivery, setup, or removal of your old set. Now is the time to buy a Serta at May D. May D's Mattress Factory Outlet at Wallbounds Plaza in Bales Gate, and May D's Sleep Shop on Route 9 in Poughkeepsie. Don't go to sleep on this deal.
Hello, I'm Marty Pasanti, and I'd like to welcome you to the Villaroma Country Club.
Villaroma, for the splendor of Rome away from Rome, in the heart of the Sullivan County Catskills.
Greg Morris coming off the field with an ankle injury. We hope to have a report for you in several minutes. Second and goal, Hasbrook. He's got Smith. Was he? Touchdown.
Nice drive by Middletown, Gary. They took the ball and they ran a controlled drive off that wishbone offense. Preston Hasbrook makes the play here. Waits just long enough on the pitch. Watch this. Watch him go down the line of scrimmage. Here he's getting ready for contact. Pitches out to Smith, and with his quickness, he's able to get around the corner and into the end zone.
The extra point coming up now. Take nothing for granted. 10 plays, 60 yards. Chris Costello will attempt the extra point. And the kick is good. So with 3:27 to go, period number 1, we're all tied up. Pine Bush 7, Middletown 7. We'll be back right after these messages. You're watching the Cable 6 game of the week.
You know, I never knew an armchair quarterback worth a hoot that didn't have a good, comfortable recliner. And this is a comfortable recliner. With a fully reclining love seat and a sofa with right and left reclining arms. Hey, it is an armchair quarterback's dream come true. And tough, lifetime warranty on recliner mechanisms. Yes, sir. You've been knocked around as much as I have. You learn to appreciate a little comfort.
Trendline.
Available at Canan's Furniture Showcase, Middletown. When injury or illness strikes. For immediate care, it's First Care. Whether it's an urgent need or just a checkup, you'll never need an appointment at First Care. A professional staff of physicians, nurses, and backup personnel are ready to meet your needs with modern equipment, lab, and x-ray capabilities. And First Care is open 7 days a week with the physician always on duty. So remember, for immediate care, it's First Care. 505 Route 208, Monroe.
3:27 to go, period number 1. Maybe Ray Jarris can go over to the Middletown bench and we'll find out what's happened to Greg Morris and have an injury update for you in several minutes. May let this kick roll out of bounds.
And we get the yellow.
Impressive drive by Middletown, Mike. Pine Bush comes out fast. They score on the first series of downs. Middletown comes right back at them, and we see the wishbone executed as good as we've seen with Middletown executed in quite some time.
Gary, the whole thing changed, though. The whole format changed when Preston Hasbrook broke off that 29-yard romp. And I'll tell you, he was a determined runner, and the team seemed to come back as determined as he was on that run. They did a very nice job on that drive.
That was their best rushing game of the year. It was last week. It seems to have carried over into this week's game. So we'll kick it again. Wuzzy Smith has been moved to the tailback spot. The last time we saw Middletown, he was down in all fours. And I think we have an injury update from Ray Jarris. Ray?
Sure do, Gary. Morris is right now so early to tell whether he'll be back. It's definitely an ankle injury. That's obvious. Got a big bag of ice. I diagnosed it a little bit better now than I did on the field, and we'll see how it goes. When he first hurt an ankle, it looks like feels like somebody hits it with an axe, but I think he'll be back.
Costello kicking off for the Middies. Watkins.
They didn't let that one get by. He slipped when he went to take off and fell down at about the 18-yard line.
1st and 10 now for Pine Bush. Once your knee goes down, you are down. You do not have to be hit by the opposing team. You are dead at that spot. Clock is running. First period action. The Clouds were supposed to clear this afternoon, but I wouldn't bet my life on that sucker.
You heard the same weatherman I did. He's out of Yugoslavia, I think.
Rich Cameron. The eye back behind Coates, and Murphy is in the slot. Now he's in motion, and he gets the handoff. Murphy and Cameron have distributed their touchdowns equally this year. Both have 7 on the year until Cameron scored in the first period of this game. Cameron now leads in league play with 8 touchdowns, but Murphy has been extremely productive. Last year, Joe Crisp and Craig Rosen, along with Rich Cameron, and Cameron had the bulk of the rushing yardage. He also had 17 touchdowns. This year, the touchdowns split between Cameron and Murphy. 2nd down, and call it 6. Murphy again, and he's got some running room. Murphy has the 1st down and more down to the 35-yard line.
Douglas Murphy with the carry out front. It's on Carroll to stop.
Let's take another look at it, and you'll see the quickness of Murphy as they come on the misdirection. Here he comes back. No fake this time, just a straight handoff to Murphy on the misdirection play. Good, strong running, and Schwab takes him down.
1st and 10, 35-yard line. Rampy is split wide to the left. Murphy again slotted on the right side. Keeping it on the ground is Pine Bush. They have yet to go to the air. Fumble.
Coates recovers.
Let's go down to Ray Jarris. Ray, that misdirection play seems to be working well for Pine Bush this afternoon.
Yes, Pine Bush is picking on the right side of the Middletown defense, and I noticed something unusual. They have a number 37, who's the right guard in there, and I'm not sure why that is, but he looks a little small for a lineman, and they seem to be picking on that. Maybe there's an injured player, and he's a reserve at the time.
We don't have a 37 on our roster, so we're as much in the dark as you are. 2nd and 11, Cameron keeping his balance and more. Rich Cameron. Oh boy. Dr. Hurst on his way for more yardage.
He's not all that slow once he breaks loose, is he? He can motor a little bit. Mr. Schwab caught up to him just about the time he was losing his balance, and he went for a little buggy ride when he rolled over there. Rich Cameron picks up another big gainer on that play. 33 yards is the carry, and a 1st down again for the Bushmen.
And he's closing in on 100 yards, and we haven't even gotten out of the first period yet. Minute 12 and counting. Tremendous balance that time by Cameron. He went down on one hand, not one knee, and you can go forward after that spot. Murphy, short side of the field. Serrano. 6'1", 223-pound senior Mitch Serrano.
Gary, you talked earlier about the success of Murphy scoring touchdowns this year, and I think that the success of Murphy a little of the credit has to go to Cameron, because when you're playing a team like Pine Bush and you know his ability, you're keying up for that man to run the middle, and with the quickness of Murphy on the misdirection, he's broken quite a few big touchdown runs this year.
2nd down and 6. We have yet to see Tony Watkins carry the ball in this ball game.
Good point.
30 seconds and counting. Cameron. A one-man locomotive is Rich Cameron. Another 1st down for Pine Bush. We're at 20 seconds.
Watch this right here. Right here. See the man as he spins off his back? You're not going to tackle a Cameron up around the shoulders coming in because he's just too strong. He's going to shake you right off. Another nice pickup. 1st and 10 at the 16.
And the Pine Bush running attack, which had been dormant for a couple games, is certainly in gear this afternoon. Watkins, his 1st carry of the ball game, trying to go outside.
Gets inside the 10-yard line to about the 8, Gary, before he's forced out of bounds.
And the clock has signal that there is no time left, and we'll wait for the official call, and that is the end of the first period. And an exciting one it has been. The score at the end of the first quarter, we're all knotted up at 7 apiece with Pine Bush knocking on the Middletown goal line. We'll be back with the second period right after this. You're watching the Cable 6 game of the week.
You're on your way to the airport. There's just enough time to catch your plane, but you'll make it. No need to worry. You'll find that exit up ahead. Or was it back there? And you can surely make that dash across the airport parking lot with all your luggage in the... Take the easy way out to the airport. Take Short Line. 15 convenient stops in Orange County, and we drop you off right in front of the terminal, so you'll arrive feeling cool, calm, and collected. For a $5 discount coupon, call Short Line 1-800-631-8405.
Nice drive.
I can say with certainty that after serving 4 years as your mayor, that this is not and cannot be an individual or part-time effort.
It's kind of a little charade to say that it's a full-time position, or that he is there full the time. I certainly will be there as much as the city needs him.
The Middletown Mayor's Race, just one of many local contests the Cable 6 News team will follow with our live election night coverage that begins at 9 p.m. Tuesday, November 5th on Cable 6, the place to turn election night.
And there's the injured ankle of one Greg Morris being taped right now. Ray Jarrett said that he thinks that Morris will come back. We'll have to see how Dr. Jarrett's diagnosis holds up. Second down and 5. Cameron. Number 44 for Middletown, Tom Owen, holding on for dear life with Rich Cameron.
I'll tell you, he made a nice play there. Cameron ran into some interference right at the line of scrimmage, tried to shake off that and cut to the outside, and Owen went down around the knees and held on, brought him down. No pickup, actually, on the play.
Third down and 5, Mike. They can get a first down without getting a touchdown. In fact, they have to get to just about the 5-yard line for that first down, maybe about a half a yard inside the 5. Big play. Coates looking for Rampy. Instead for Cameron, the ball is thrown to the wrong side of Rich Cameron. Setting up a 4th down situation now. Maybe an interesting call here, possible field goal.
That was an interesting call. 3rd and 5, and a nice time to call that play. A little sprint out pass to Rampy, looked open, but he tried to get the ball to Cameron and just threw it to the wrong side of him.
4th and call it 4. We're going to keep it right here as Pine Bush has a timeout. Let's go down to Ray Jarrett on the field. Ray?
Gary, 2 plays ago, Cameron showed us a characteristic of a fine running back where he got blocked up in the middle and he was able to bounce off to the outside. Us linemen used to love to have a running back like that. They made us look good. And on this last play, they faked to him. It was a play-action pass where it's back out of the backfield, and he ran a route to his right, and he was wide open. But Mr. Coates just misjudged his throw a little bit, and we say when a quarterback is on the move, it's a little tougher to pass the ball than when he's standing still, and he really was open, and Cameron made a great effort to come back to get the ball and just couldn't quite get his hand underneath it.
Ray, you mentioned in the pregame that the fullback is the key to this Pine Bush offensive attack. If Cameron's having a good day, that sets up the other runners and everything else that Pine Bush wants to do offensively.
Oh, it sure does. That's the thing you have to stop. You have to take that away, and Middletown has tried to do that. They're changing their defenses. They're using a wide tackle 6, and they're using a 5-man front occasionally, and they can't stop them. So give the credit to the linemen for tremendous blocking. Cameron's really not running at the 0 and 1 hole. He's running outside of those people, so they're attacking the outsides of Cameron very effectively.
Big 4th down play now for Pine Bush. 4th and 4. And Coates is brought down.
He didn't pick up the first down. The ball's going to change sides. Good defense on the part of Middletown. And again, here you see Coach sprint to the outside, but coming up to make the play is number 40, I believe. That's Tom Imbrogno, and a nice play by Imbrogno. You know, Ray points out we've been very used to seeing Cameron all year run at the 0 and 1 hole, and this week he's having some success coming to the outside. A little surprising to me. When we get back down to Ray, I'd like to get his opinion on that.
1st and 10 now from the 9-yard line. Big defensive stand that time for Middletown. Strung out that 4th down play very, very nicely. Rivera. Rivera, who has an 89-yard touchdown run this year against Monroe Woodbury, the longest play from scrimmage for Middletown, and he was close to doing it again right there.
He sure was, Gary. This is just a quick hit off of that. There you see it, just a real quick hitter. He's the front man in that wishbone. Picks up 33 yards on the carry. Nice run.
1st and 10. Damon Hasbrook maintaining his balance, getting a yard, maybe 2 on the play. Rampy at the bottom of that pile, along with Kevin Holland. And we've seen Holland several times this year. He's a good one. 5'10", 194-pound junior, number 67. Very, very mobile for that Pine Bush defensive line. Gets his paws on a lot of runners, quarterbacks, and whoever else happens to be in his area. 2nd down and call it 8. Rivera. Again. Danny Rivera. Brought down from behind. Fumble.
I think they're going to blow him down, yeah. Good call. Again, it's a quick hit, but this time his hole was closed. And watch the move by Rivera. That little move right there. Nice move by Rivera to the outside. His hole was closed. And he just shifted it to the outside, picks up about 27 yards on that, 40 yards on the play. No?
1st and 10. Hasbrook looking right side for Birch. Mike, on that previous play, it appeared to me from the replay that Shannon stripped Rivera of the ball before he went down.
Boy, I don't know, Gary. We'll have to look at it again in the studio because it appeared to me that his knee had hit the ground before he lost control of the ball. And in high school football, as we well know, once that knee touches, that's considered down.
Whatever it was close enough to be called.
It sure was.
No fumble, Middletown ball. 2nd down and 10. 9:46 to go. Period number 2, 7-7. Cable 6 game of the week. Damon Hasbrook make that Wuzzy Smith over the 20 to about the 18-yard line. An exciting football game.
It really is, and it's a running game where you don't expect as much excitement as you would in a let's heave it up and see what we can do with it type of game. But this afternoon, 2 good running offenses are on the field.
3rd and 5. Cameron takes a hold of Wuzzy Smith and throws him to the ground. Big 3rd down play by Rich Cameron.
You know, the last time we were here, I was very critical of the wishbone offense run by Middletown. I thought they had some people out of line in the setup, and they were setting it up a little too close to the quarterback. They seem to have made some changes in it. And I'll tell you, Dick Wolfslayer has taken that offense, the wishbone, and it looks to me like they really have worked out the kinks, and it's a very potent type of offensive attack.
Mike, the big change they make, they put Danny Rivera down, they put Wuzzy Smith back 4 yards from the line of scrimmage, and I think this is really maximizing the strengths of each of the players. Full reverse, Rogers.
Good run.
Bob Anderson and Rogers met at the pass. Rogers came out the better.
Did he ever? Because he ran like Cameron. He lowered the shoulder, and he just bounced right off him. Watch this, a nice piece of faking, though, by Preston Hasbrook. Look at this. He fakes into the line, comes back around, and doesn't really give the play away till he flips the ball.
Ray Jarrett. First and 10. Murphy.
Nowhere. Maybe to the line of scrimmage, and that's about it for Murphy. Pine Bush now has a 2nd and actually lost a couple yards. 2nd and 12 now as he's hit behind the line of scrimmage.
Good defense that time by Middletown. Going back and forth. 7:42 to go. 2nd period. Rampy split wide to the left. Coates has only gone to the air 1 time this afternoon.
That was a quarterback keeper.
And they've used that several times this afternoon.
Yes, they have. Well, they used it successfully when we saw them against Port Jervis as well on a couple of plays. But that time there, Coates had no room once he got past the center to maneuver.
3rd down and 8. Could be a critical series, Mike, because Pine Bush is deep in their own territory. If they don't get a first down here, they're going to be forced to punt from near their end zone, and Middletown would have excellent field position. 3rd down and 8. 6:58 to go. Period number 2 as Murphy goes in motion. Coates has Cameron, has the first down. They're using them as many different ways as possible. Running to the inside, running to the outside, and coming out of the backfield for the screen.
Well, when you know it's going to take a couple guys taking down. Watch, there's the play fake to Murphy. Now, just a little pitch. Cameron's out there. He's doing everything but putting up a illuminated sign telling him he's open, and picks up the first down and then some.
Our first pass completion of the ball game. Coates is now 1 for 2. Line of scrimmage at the 44-yard line. Murphy, misdirection. And the man who made that play, his flags go down. Fotis Manavelis made the hit in the backfield, and then he got some help from his friends in blue and white.
Good call, Gary. That's exactly who made the play. He read it as soon as Coates came back from the snap. He read the play, and he just had his sights set on Murphy. But we have a big penalty now going against Middletown. Face masking is the call, and that'll set up an automatic first down and moves them 15 yards further up. So now it's a first down at the 40-yard line of the Middies for the Bushmen of Pine.
That is our first major penalty of this contest. 1st and 10 from the 40. 6:34 and counting. Second period, all knotted up at 7 apiece. Gary Sussman, Mike Terrell, and Ray Jarris bringing you this contest. Cameron. You got to take more than one guy to bring him down.
I don't know, number 78 from Middletown, that's Mitch Serrano. He's not a tiny guy, 6'1", 223, and that came out as a standoff right there. He held on to Cameron until he got a little help. There you see him. How'd you like to feed him dinner every night? No, thank you. I'd rather clothe him than feed him, I guess.
Up and down we go. Both teams sticking to the ground. A lot of action on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Pine Bush in control of this offensive drive, trying to put more points on the board here in period number 2. Watkins, who has been fairly silent and is caught in the backfield once again. Number 44 for Middletown, Tom Owen, who is playing a strong contest.
Gary, I want to check with Ray here the next opportunity we get and see if Middletown has changed that defense at all, because they're now shutting off that misdirection play, where in the first quarter they were having no success against it at all. But now in the second quarter, the 3 times they've run it, they've either stopped the man for no gain or lost yardage on the play.
3rd and 6. Big 3rd down for Pine Bush. Coates looking downfield. The pass was intended for Anderson. Murphy was cutting behind him, but good coverage that time by the Middletown defense. 4 men around 2 defenders.
Excellent defense by the secondary on the Middies that time. They had lots of coverage into the air. They had good pressure by Manavelis again on Coates.
It'll set up a 4th down. And you see Coates was not set on that play. In fact, the pass was thrown really out of the area of any of his receivers. He was moving backwards and to the right. Difficult to throw off your back foot.
Yes.
They're going to go for it. 4th down and 6. Coach straight back. Air ball. And we have a flag on the play. We'll have to wait and see what the call is. It was intercepted by Middletown, but let's wait and see. Al Schwab.
Offensive pass interference.
The ironic thing is, if Schwab knocks the ball down, Middletown has better field position.
But he gets no statistics, so 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But this is where the ball should have been knocked down. You're right.
Let's go down to Ray Jarris on the field. Ray, what about that Middletown defense?
Well, Gary, the reason they're not going for the misdirection plays is because they're not overplaying Cameron. They're still maintaining their right positions, and they're not going for that fake. I think what's going to happen next time Pine Bush gets the ball, you're going to see a lot more of Cameron. The reason he's been so successful, I think, Mike, is because He's very quick and very powerful. He gets to the outside quickly and is tremendous blocking. So they're doing a great job, and when he gets to the outside, he's able to be very successful.
Ray, are you a little surprised that they're using him as much, though, to the outside as they have so far the first half?
Very surprised, but I think the reason they're doing that is because they know against that even look, and they got some pretty big defensive tackles in there. Well, except for that 37 I mentioned was a small guy in there, but they got a lot of people inside when you run an 8-man front, and it's kind of hard to run inside, so you try to look to run to the soft spots, which is to the outside.
Now we have 1st and 10 as the ball changes hands. Hasbrook over center.
15 yards from the line of scrimmage is where that play was marked off from. Wesley Smith with the carry over the 45-yard line. Middletown with excellent field position, Mike. A golden opportunity for the Middies to establish momentum and go into the locker room with a lead against Pine Bush. Something, of course, if you're the Pine Bush faithful, you want to see not happen and have your Bushmen stiffen on defense. But we've seen both teams drive. We've seen both teams with excellent field position. One score on both sides of the ledger. 2nd down and 8, and Mike Terrell has found a new friend, Ray Jarrett. They talk football all game long. Rivera. And you really have to keep your eyes on Rivera because he disappears into that line of scrimmage and then comes out with a 6 or 7 yard gain.
Well, he's only about 5'6", I think, is what they have him listed at, Gary. And
5'5".
5'5", so he's hiding behind a lot of guys down there, and I think that's giving Pine Bush trouble as well. They don't know where he is to tackle him. He's a nice little runner, though. He seems to look for the opening very well.
4-minute warning. 3rd down and 4. Just a reminder at halftime, my halftime guest, basketball analyst par excellence, Tony I'm in Love Napo. 3rd and 4. Hasbrook. Oh, what a nice play that time by Matt Shannon. And the read very well that time by Shannon, as Hasbrook was looking to pitch to the outside, but he was cut down before he could get the toss off.
Going to get a kick here. Put him deep. I agree with Dick, which may be a first, Dick, but nonetheless, I think this is a good call. You got 3.5 minutes left. Put him deep. Maybe you get a fumble. Maybe you get a turnover. With a little luck, who knows? But at least you're going to make them go a long way in 3 minutes if they want to score 6 points.
This is a 2-jacket game. I go down to the other jacket at halftime. Preston Hasbrook standing at the 45-yard line. Whistles, flags.
Movement.
The United Nations of calls.
We got it. I love it. That reminds me of the parking lot attendants in Midtown Manhattan when you pull in. You get a whistle, you get a flag, you get hand motion, and you still end up blocked in by 19 other cars.
And they get your money. 3rd down, make that 4th down and 10. Mike Terrell, who was on assignment last week, scouting future games that we may do out of the state. Preston Hasbrook now 5 yards deeper. Matt Shannon and Ed Rampy standing at their 15-yard line. Off the side of the foot of Hasbrook as he was rushed that time. Pressure applied by Henry Smith, causing Hasbrook to kick it off the side of his foot. So Pine Bush does have time to mount some type of drive with 2:47 to go in period number 2. With the wishbone attack, make that the Delaware wing T attack, Mike, you need a little time to get that offense down near the goal line when you have to drive 65 or so yards. It's not an offense that's going to score quickly for you, which is one of the cons on the pro and con
You may see him try and throw the ball 3 times here and punt. I don't know.
Ray's got somebody down on the field.
Wherever he goes, he picks someone up. I don't know what it is about this guy, but...
We'll go to Ray in a second after this play. 1st and 10. Watkins.
Then again, they may not throw the ball 3 times. They may try and run it out of there.
Ray, do you think that Pine Bush may sit on the ball now from here till the end of the half?
No, I really don't think they're going to sit on the ball, Gary. I think they're trying to go for misdirection plays where maybe they can pop one of them. Cameron, they're looking for maybe 8 yards, and it's only 2.5 minutes to go. So I think they're trying to look for something a little bit bigger. They might even try their option. They ran it before, not too well, but they might even try that one time.
2nd down and 7. Last week, Ray and I called every play wrong. We'll see if we can get any way to do this week. First man through is Cameron, and nothing once again. So that defensive change by Middletown paying off in huge dividends. Once again, it's Mitch Serrano in the middle of that defensive line, and we're going to have a timeout, Pine Bush. So we're going to take a break. 2:01 to go, period number 2, all knotted up at 7 apiece. We'll have more for you from Fowler Field right after these messages.
John McMickle, Orange County legislator from the 21st District. For many years, I've run a successful insurance and income tax business in the Middletown area. This experience has helped me to be a successful county legislator. I'm running for re-election, and I need your support.
John McMickle is a hard-working, outspoken, independent legislator and will continue working on the problems of the county and community for you.
Vote for me, John McMickle, an experienced Orange County legislator from the new 21st District.
I can say with certainty that after serving 4 years as your mayor, that this is not and cannot be an individual or part-time effort.
It's kind of a little charade to say that it's a full-time position or that he is there full the time. I certainly will be there as much as the city needs him.
The Middletown mayor's race, just one of many local contests. The Cable 6 News team will follow with our live election night coverage that begins at 9 p.m. Tuesday, November 5th on Cable 6, the place to turn election night.
3rd down and 7. Pine Bush. Reverse Murphy. Fumble.
Middletown. No? Oh, I may have missed one.
You can only be wrong on one of the teams, and I think you called it...
I thought Middletown, I thought number 44 covered the ball on Middletown.
No huddle. Plays called 2 in a row, maybe 3. Coates looking for that sideline. Pass knocked down. Play stops. Clock stops. 1:46.
I was surprised at the call. I don't know, Ray, did you see it any differently down there than I did?
The pass play, Mike?
No, the fumble. I thought the recovery was on Middletown there.
No, Pine Bush definitely recovered. That was an inside misdirection play, inside reverse, which a lot of tricky ball handling. I'm very impressed by the ball handling by both teams, the way the things they're doing out there.
2nd and 10. 1:46 to go. Period number 2. This is a big game, and they're playing it like it is. Coates, pump fake, hit from behind. Who is the man? Number 76.
Number 78 is the guy that wrapped up Coates from behind. That's Serrano.
Mitch Serrano, Mike. Good call.
Watch it here. Here you'll see him. Hello. Like I said, they couldn't give me a big enough tax deduction to take him home. That kid.
3rd and 10. Mitch Serrano, who has been outstanding so far on defense.
He's played a whale of a ball game.
And just a reminder, at the conclusion of the game, the offensive and defensive players of the game as picked by the Cable 6 Sports announcing staff, which is increased by 1.
I love it. It rules out the guys in the truck.
That's right. 3rd and 10. Reverse Murphy. That inside reverse once again gets maybe 5 on the play. That'll set up the 4th down. And with 1:30 to go, we'll see if Middletown utilizes a timeout here.
I would think they'd kick. And timeout, yes. Call it. That's it, guys. You got it.
1:23 to go. Period number 2. We're going to take a break. 7-7. You're watching the Cable 6 game of the week.
There's excitement you'll see only on Showtime in November. We'll bring you continuing dramatic excitement with more of our original miniseries, Tender is the Night. There's more rediscovered episodes of The Honeymooners, and Martin Short brings his comic cast of characters to November's Comedy Spotlight, plus movie premieres of Dune and City Heat. For a month full of excitement, it's Showtime.
To order Showtime, call Cablevision today.
Hi, I'm Mickey Mantle, and I'm proud to be an announcer on Sports Channel, the only channel dedicated to New York sports and you, the New York sports fan. Starting this season, Sports Channel is the only place on TV to see the Islanders and Nets every game, home and away. In fact, Sports Channel has more games of more New York teams than any other channel. So order Sports Channel today, because now, more than ever, Sports Channel is #1 in New York sports.
To order Sports Channel, call Cablevision today.
1:23 to go. Period number 4. Punting formation, excuse me, for Pine Bush. Back deep, Wesley Smith and Preston Hasbrook. Middletown calling that timeout. They want one more shot at that goal line. Torchio, nice kick. An adventure in receiving, Preston Hasbrook and Wuzzy Smith co-starring.
Alphonse Gaston, you got it, I take it. No, I don't want it, it's all yours.
And those are the type of plays, Mike, that you often see broken for long games because the defense doesn't know what the heck's going on either.
How close did that one look like it might break?
All right, let's set the stage for you. 1:05 and counting. Middletown has the ball 1st and 10 at the 29-yard line.
71 yards to pay dirt.
With Hasbrook's explosiveness and the fact that he can throw and run and throw off the run, we'll see what happens. Torchio bringing him down for the quarterback sack, and that might negate any Middletown attempt at putting points on the board. With 40 seconds and counting, they just might let it run out. Dave Torchio in like a bolting light here, or a bolt of lightning.
I don't know what happened. He just never had anybody there to block him. The center went one way and completely moved off.
Timeout on the field. Let's go down to Ray Jarrett. Ray?
Gary, for the last minute of play here, Pine Bush has changed their defense. They've loosened it up a little bit, and now they're in a 4-3-4 look. And apparently they're going to be just happy to contain Middletown here. They got a long ways to go, and they'll go into the locker room tied at 0-0 or 7-7.
Ray, I just want you to know, I just got a call from the USFL. Even though they went to 9 teams in the fall, they would like you to be their sideline commentator come next September.
Yeah, but you got to bring the bear, Ray.
Okay, I think they want the bear, not Ray.
30 seconds to go. They're starting a wave here at Middletown, and it went like the wave that I used to dive into.
It looks like the ocean that hits around Middletown. Very small indeed. You know it's a cold day. You see the hot cider and the chili dogs are abundant in the crowd today.
Mike, the one thing that's so impressive about this ball game is that Middletown virtually eliminated from getting into the championship game, coming out and playing as if they are in the championship game. A credit to the coaching staff. Option, the was. Downfield for Rogers, and that play did not have a lot of time to develop.
No, if he had time to throw it, we might have seen the 6 go on the board there, because Rogers was just about at the point where you know the receiver's going to go ahead of the defender. You know, they were even, and he was ready to run his route there, and was threw the ball pretty well, just had no time to locate his man.
Usually you'd like a 2 or 3 step drop. Was had a step and a toe.
Yeah.
3rd down, 24. Rivera. And with 20 seconds, Pine Bush will call timeout. Mike, let's talk for a second about, we can get Ray's comments on this also. We'll conduct a 3-way conversation. Pine Bush is 1-1. They have to win their remaining 2 games to win or to have a shot at the American Conference title. What are both of you gentlemen's feelings on the fact that interconference play only counts as the 3rd tiebreaker, Ray?
Well, I think that you have to be judging teams on the same criteria. And if you're playing a lot of different teams and you may be playing a stronger schedule than somebody, then they have a weaker schedule, that gives that one team a big advantage. So I think you have to stay on the same criteria.
So in other words, you like that only the conference games count towards the conference title, interconference only counts in the tiebreaker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Terrell.
Well, I would like to see a setup, Gary, where there were points awarded for all games in the course of the season, except for the one dead game that they all seem to play, which is out of conference. I'd like to see the non-conference games within the league count as a point or 2 points of some sort. Maybe a tie is 1 point and then a win is 2, and conference game a win be 3 and a tie as a 1 point. Something where at the end all the games would come into play as a factor.
4th down and 21. The comments of Ray Charis and Mr. T.
Yes.
Roughing the kicker on Pine Bush. Middletown will retain possession.
What a
Hugo Munchesang took a huge crunch from the Pine Bush defensive unit.
On the part of Pine Bush, because they would have had excellent field position around their own 38-yard line or so, or Middletown's 38-yard line, rather, excuse me. And with 20 seconds to go, they would have had an opportunity to get the ball into the end zone, or 10 seconds to go now.
Preston Hasbrook is standing on the sidelines. I don't know if he realizes that the offense is back in the game, or maybe they're going to keep him out for a play or two, which it looks like they are. He's holding his right hand. Doesn't look to be that serious. but it is something that will prevent him from going in right now. And Hugo Munchesang, the man who just got leveled on the punt, will take over the QB spot. Mr. Munchesang, meet Mr. Holly. And that will be the first half. And what a bruising way to end it for Middletown. A big hit by Kevin Holly. So the score at the end of the first half of action, Middletown and Pine Bush knotted up at 7 apiece. When we come back, Mr. Basketball himself, Tony Nappo. We'll have that for you and more right after these messages.
What is it that we're watching?
You're watching Cinemax in November. No turkeys here, pal. Just big movies, great movies, and lots of movies. Yeah, now you're interested. City Heat, Songwriter, Body Double, and Supergirl. Plus original music and comedy. Over 70 movies and shows in November.
I know, I've seen it.
So go for it, you animal. Pick up the phone, call your cable company, and order Cinemax. Because if you don't know what Cinemax is, you don't know what you're missing.
I can say with certainty that after serving 4 years as your mayor, that this is not and cannot be an individual or part-time effort.
It's kind of a little charade to say that it's a full-time position or that he is there full-time. I certainly will be there as much as the city needs him.
The Middletown Mayor's race, just one of many local contests. The Cable 6 News team will follow with our live election night coverage that begins at 9 p.m. Tuesday, November 5th on Cable 6, the place to turn election night.
And welcome back to Fowler Field in Middletown. The score at halftime, 7-all, Pine Bush and Middletown. Behind us, the marching middies, and standing to my right, the Dick Vitale of local basketball. The next time you see him, he's no fool. He gets inside when it gets cold outside. Of course, I'm speaking of Tony Nappo, and I know you don't like these cold days.
I hope you realize that as soon as we went on the air, it started to snow. You're right. I like it better when we get inside. It's a little warmer, and we get the fans real close.
All right, listen, we have a lot of coaching changes this year in the OCL. We have Kevin Bach at Burke. We have Dick O'Neill at Monticello. We have Jim DiStefano at Middletown. That's 3 major schools with 3 different coaches.
You're absolutely correct. And there are 3 real integral key teams in the OCL contest. Burke has a strong JV that's coming up. Kevin will do a really great job over there. Jimmy DiStefano at Middletown has a little chore of putting together a team that can play cohesively the entire season, and Dick's going to put together a surprise up in Monticello. They're always the last entity that we get to see, but it'll be fun to see what he can produce up there.
I think a lot of people are waiting to see what Dick can produce in Monticello, because he's going from a program that was established, that he won with, to take over a program that Bobby Irish had brought up from the bootstraps to respectability, but yet it's a different type of school. Monticello is not John S. Burke.
That's true. One thing that's very important is that Dick has told me that he really enjoys teaching there. And when he walked in, every kid that had been involved in the basketball program immediately got super psyched. And he had to call a meeting to tell them, look, you know, he's coming in, but he's not going to guarantee them anything. They will go only as far as the kids take themselves. He will give them tremendous guidance. He'll give them all the direction they need, but the bottom line is that they're going to carry themselves wherever they're going.
What about individuals? Any individuals that we can look forward to coming back this year that we might have seen last year?
Well, what we're going to see is from Monroe, the Burnsley kid. I saw him doing the chains when Middletown went down there to play Monroe in football. He's about 6'6", 6'7", and he's still growing. We might catch them pre-season down in the Meadowlands when they play Suffern. Burke had, by the way, Monroe's JV was undefeated last year in league play, so they're loaded. The Burke JV also has a big kid coming up, a kid named Carroll, that's also going to match up size-wise with the Burnsley kid from Monroe. Middletown has a couple of, well, he's got a sophomore in Damian Brown. He's got a freshman point guard in Timmy Reynolds, and he's got another senior guard in Troy DeGroat to look forward to. Those are just a couple of the ones that come to mind right off the bat.
Do you look at it as being very competitive, very even throughout both conferences again?
Absolutely. You'll see Monroe, and Monroe is going to jump out, I think, to a quick lead in its division. Burke kicks into the small school division.
And I'll tell you what, they're going to be hard-pressed to find a lot of competition over there, at least is how I see it. The big school division could be a dogfight. Depends on how teams can counteract Monroe's size. But don't forget, Monroe's got that point guard in Robbie Smith, and he's a pleasure to watch.
And one man we did not mention who may be the best ball player in the area, number 14 from I. O'Neill, Andre McClendon.
Yeah, that should be a nice matchup when O'Neill and Burke get together. He'll be a pleasure to watch.
The Dick Vitale of local basketball. But before we sign off, let us announce right here, you heard of the movie Bloom in Love? This is Napo in Love. The man is engaged. He's going to get married. When's the date?
Next August 2nd, I think.
He thinks, he knows. That's why you haven't seen him carousing around the streets. He's home, he's taking care of business, and he's resting up for basketball season. The score at halftime, Pine Bush and Middletown, 7 apiece. When we come back, the third quarter, you're watching the Cable 6 game of the week.
La Mascarade, Route 17M, Goshen.
When injury or illness strikes. For immediate care, it's First Care. Whether it's an urgent need or just a checkup, you'll never need an appointment at First Care. A professional staff of physicians, nurses, and backup personnel are ready to meet your needs with modern equipment, lab, and x-ray capabilities. And First Care is open 7 days a week with the physician always on duty. So remember, for immediate care, it's First Care. 505 Route 208, Monroe.
The score at halftime, 7-7, third quarter, just about ready to begin. Let's take a look at the halftime statistics as compiled by Charles Guido. Pine Bush leading in first downs. Middletown with a slight advantage over Pine Bush on the rushing side, and not too much passing on either side of the line of scrimmage. Middletown will be kicking off to our right. In case you've just tuned in, they are in the home blue with white trim. Rich Cameron, the leading ball carrier in that first half, 9 carries, 84 yards. Preston Hasbrook 0 for 1, no yards passing, of course. George Coates 1 for 4 for 24 yards. A very spirited, hard-hitting first half of action. Pine Bush must come out on top in the second half if they want to have any shot at repeating as American Conference champs. Matt Shannon on the run at the 15, the 20, the 30. Shannon spinning off of tacklers, and he will give Pine Bush excellent field position near the 40-yard line. Ray Jarris, what does Middletown have to do defensively to stop Pine Bush on this opening series?
Well, they got to stop Cameron, and it's going to be very difficult to do because Pine Bush is blocking extremely well. So they have to break those blocks, and that's hard to do. Cameron's very tough, and if they don't get the linemen stopped, then they're going to be for a long afternoon, possibly.
So let's see if Pine Bush goes right back to Rich Cameron to start off this third period. He was a monster on the first drive that they had in the ball game as Watkins goes in motion, and there he is. He's got the ball, he's got Middletown defenders, and he's got the first down with a gain of 11, maybe 12 on the play, carrying people with him.
Gary, here you see Cameron again. He's going outside a tackle. A little more that time direct than what he was running in the first half. Nonetheless, his good power takes him ahead for 12-yard pickup. It's a first down, Pine Bush.
Doug Rowe and John Basello on that right side. They had been exploiting the left side of that Pine Bush offensive line and the right side of the Middletown defensive line in that first half. Once again, it's Cameron, and he stopped down low at the line of scrimmage.
Good play that time. Number 93 up front for Middletown. That's Gary Perna, and he made an excellent play. He got down low, beat his blocker, got down low, and got Cameron around the ankles.
Some defensive adjustments made on both sides of the line of scrimmage in that first half. Middletown was moving well against Pine Bush and vice versa. And we ended up 7-7. 5-yard touchdown run by Rich Cameron and an 8-yard touchdown run by William Call Me Wuzzy Smith for Middletown. Cameron again. There you go! Dr. Hurt living up to his pregame billing on that run.
Sure did. Picks up about 5 yards on on the run, Gary, and 3rd and 5 now for Pine Bush, and this is a very big call right here. They have to pick up the first down to keep the drive alive, and undoubtedly this first series in the second half, they'd like to set the tempo.
Mike, Rich Cameron is 6 feet, 225 pounds, and look at the size of his legs. That's where he gets his power from. Monstrous legs on Rich Cameron. Coates looking for Rampy.
Ball a little bit high. Thrown just a touch high. Rampy couldn't get, he got his hands on it, but couldn't really handle the ball to gain control over it. 4th and 5, and they're going to, looks as though they're going to come in with the kicking team.
Going for that short pass on the right flat, not trying to go deep, but it was incomplete as Dave Torchio is back to punt. Hasbrook, Wuzzy Smith, along with Mike Lucchetti for Middletown. And with a good kick here, Torchio can put Middletown deep. Almost blocked. Another adventure in receiving. Mike Lucchetti starting in that one. Make that mark, Lucchetti.
Boy, we could get a full series going here this afternoon on this, huh? We've seen a lot of problems on the kick returns and punt returns.
9:40, period number 3. Gary Sussman, Mike Terrell, and Ray Jarrett is bringing you this Cable 6 game of the week. We got 2 more to go after this, and look for something special on the championship game. Maybe able to see it same day, same time. Dan Revere is the first man through. We have a change in the backfield. Greg Morris out due to an ankle injury. Damon Hasbrook in, along with Wuzzy Smith and Dan Rivera. And if that rushing yardage in the first half might have looked a little extreme, it wasn't. There was a lot of yards gained on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and it was all on the ground. There was no passing per se in that first half.
And you didn't see a lot of first downs up there, Gary, for the simple reason we had a lot of long runs, a lot of 20 and 30-yard runs in the first half.
2nd and 6. Revere again trying to buck that right side. Difficult task. Number 61 for Pine Bush. Alan Middleman in on that tackle. And that'll set up a 3rd down and 5. Call it a short 5. And we'll see what the Midi Brain Trust has decided to go with on this play, because here's a play where it's a little, might need a little bit of imagination. 3rd and 5. Hasbrook, nice cut. And Hasbrook is going to be very close to that first down. It depends where they mark his knee out of bounds.
I think the mark looks like he may have it by a nose of the more. They're not even going to measure. He got it by that much. Good run by Hasbrook.
Ray Jarris. Rivera, cutting off left tackle. Rivera still on his feet.
First down for Middletown, and here we're going to get another shot at it. Watch Rivera. Kind of clogged up there. You see him break through that initial line, and he's got good quickness once he does break through. Rampy makes a saving tackle there. Otherwise, he probably could have picked up another 10 to 15 yards.
1st and 10, 7:42 to go. Middletown utilizing that wishbone offense. Hasbrook looking downfield, looking for Rogers. Nice catch.
What a pretty catch it was by Mr. Rogers. He came out of the neighborhood and made a grab.
Over the shoulder, going away. Hell of a catch by Chris Rogers. Look at this.
He had him just beat. I mean, he had Watkins flat out beat to the outside. Hasbrook, it looked like he overthrew him. 20-yard pass completion for his first of the game.
Rivera again, first man through. Ray, Middletown going to the air a little bit here in the 3rd quarter. You noticing a change in their offensive set?
We're obviously having a little technical difficulty with that, but while we're talking about Middletown and the way they're set up there, I don't know if they've changed their offensive set at all, but their linemen up front are doing a tremendous job.
2nd and 8. Smith.
bring up a 3rd and a long 4, maybe closer to 5 yards.
Now we have an official's timeout. Damon Hasbrook in for Greg Morris. Preston Hasbrook throwing some nice passes here in the 3rd period, Mike.
He threw the last couple well, Gary, in the completion itself, but give credit for most of that completion to Rogers because he made a tremendous grab.
Well thrown pass, though. Only person who could catch it was Rogers. 3rd down and 5. Wuzzy Smith. And he's run down by a host of Pine Bush defenders, led by Rich Cameron and Ed Rampy. And it looks like Wuz is going to be several yards short of a 1st down, but that will set up a 4th down and 1 for Middletown.
4th and a good 1 solid yard of Orange County real estate that they got to cover. Talk about big calls early in a football game. Here's one right here.
5:35. Rivera's got the 1st down. Let's go down to Ray Jarrah's on the field. Ray, how's that Middletown line doing against the Pine Bush defensive line? They're giving their runners plenty of room to operate.
Well, a couple of things are happening, Gary. First of all, the Pine Bush defense is going with the flow. They have great respect when Hasbrook goes right or left, and then Rivera is cutting back the other way. It's called a cutback dive to the fullback. That's why he's been successful.
1st and 10. Big 4th down call that time for Middletown as they continue to drive. Hasbrook. And you notice the way Hasbrook carries the ball. That's the 2nd time that he's had trouble with his footing. Seems to cradle the ball, Mike, as opposed to sticking under that one arm.
Yeah, he's not getting a real good hold on it, Gary. And, you know, as Ray said, that Pine Bush is going with the flow. That's what happened on the 1st down play. They put Smith in motion to the right, and Pine Bush read the play to go right, and he came back with a handoff to Rivera against that flow, so to speak.
2nd down and 9. Middletown in the dark, Pine Bush in the white, for those who don't have color TVs. Mix up in the backfield, and Hasbrook recovers his fumble. And Mike, Dick Wallslayer talked earlier in the week about turnovers and fumbles. Middletown has stayed away from turnovers and fumbles this afternoon.
Yes, they have, and they've prevented that a couple of times. And that guy you see right there on your screen is a good observation of preventing fumbles, because all afternoon when he's been in a tough situation, he hasn't flipped the ball out like he had earlier in the year. He's held on to it, took a couple-yard loss, but retained possession.
3rd and 14. Wide side of the field is the right side of the field, which is where Rogers is split. Hasbrook.
Boy, Rogers is turning around and he's saying, how come? Where is it? I'm looking for a yellow flag. I tell you, if we took a replay, he may deserve a yellow flag. It looked like somebody was crawling up his back when he turned around to look for the football. Nonetheless, it goes as an incomplete pass. 4th down now, about 13 yards to go. And let's see if we can see it here. I think we're going to follow Hasbrook most of the time. We are. There you see the throw. And it was a little bit before that where the contact came into play.
Costello attempting the 32, make it the 42-yard field goal. The kick is up. And the kick falls short. It had the right accuracy, but the distance fell under the crossbar. A little deceiving to those who may have been in the field or in the stands.
But not to you, Mr. Sussman. The accuracy was right on. He was going to split him in two if he had the distance. But, hey, that's a little wrinkle I didn't expect, a 42-yard field goal.
Good leg that time by Chris Costello. So Pine Bush now picks up the action. 1st and 10 from the 20, 3:42 to go. They motored on their first series of downs. They have been dormant since. They have been able to move the ball, but they haven't been able to put any points on the board. Coates and the Pine Bush offensive strategy, including that quarterback draw this afternoon, they must have seen something, Mike, in the films and in the scouting reports that would say to them that Middletown may be susceptible to this play.
Well, this is the 3rd time they've tried it, and the 1st time they've had real success with it. He picks up enough for the 1st down, and it's 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line.
We'll get Ray Jarrett's comments in just a few moments on that quarterback draw and its usefulness in that offensive set for Pine Bush. As Murphy, riding off the block of Tony Watkins, gets 5, maybe 6. Ray, what about that quarterback draw for Pine Bush?
Well, it's an even front. The two tackles are playing outside the offensive guards, and all the coach does is just take a step back, and the linebackers start dropping a little bit, and he has a great opportunity to run. And you notice on the second down there, Middletown went to an odd front, so they put a nose guard over the center to stop him from doing that. Now we'll see what, I think they're going to be back to an even look this time, yep.
Second down at 5, third period, 2:45 and counting. Cameron. And Cameron is met at that line of scrimmage. Number 57 for Middletown, Dave Fenner, making the initial hit, and then the posse came to the rescue. If you let Cameron get ahead of steam, it's awfully difficult to bring him down with one man, or less than 2, maybe sometimes even 3. They've been stopping him, though, just as he gets his motion going, Mike, and that's the key to stopping a big man like that. Third down, ball at 5. Fumble.
Middletown.
Tom Imbrogno coming up with that fumble as Rich Cameron coughing up the football, and the Middies now in excellent field position.
There you'll see it, Cameron around. He had a punch right out from behind. It was hit from behind him. He was carrying it, well, the one-arm style, and he had room to do that. I believe Schwab knocked it out, and Imbrogno picked it up.
Schwab may have recovered, Mike.
Oh, okay. I'm going along with you. Somebody knocked it out up front, though.
Yeah, I took the cab to the next town on that one. First and 10. Rivera. Middletown getting 2-3 yards on that first dive up the middle.
We haven't seen Hasbrook really come down the line at all on the option.
Let's go down to Ray Jarrett's on the field. Ray?
Gary, I want you to check out the defensive for Pine Bush here. They have 11 people that are all no more than 5 yards away from the Middletown offense. They're playing run all the way, and that's why Middletown's able to throw that pass so successfully before, is because they're playing so tight.
That's why we pay Ray those big bucks. Second and 7. Hasbrook. Eluding trouble, but not for long. Again, it is number 44, Danny Wyman, showing excellent pursuit from his linebacker spot.
Danny Wyman brought up this week from the JV team at Pine Bush, where they run a very successful JV program. I can't believe that he's been down there all season. He's a good football player, and he's helped out a lot this afternoon up here on the varsity squad.
We have 40 seconds in counting. A quick-moving third quarter. A tie doesn't do Pine Bush any good.
They got to have more points than Middletown when the game's over.
As far as trying to repeat. Tie does them no good whatsoever. Just creates more confusion. Hasbrook. Downfield. Watkins and Rampy sandwiching Rogers. And Rampy is down on the field.
Well, I'll tell you, Rampy left his defensive position early to go over and help out Watkins, and his man was open if Preston had taken a little time to look left when he saw the movement. But let's see the replay here. You'll see good defensive play by the part of Pine Bush. Hasbrook throws the ball well downfield, and there you see the collision. Rampy comes up a little sore from it.
Preston Hasbrook now in a punting situation. Rampy and Shannon dropping back inside their 10-yard line. Hasbrook getting off a beautiful kick. Fair catch called for by Rampy, and takes it inside the 5.
What a mistake. I'm very surprised you didn't let that ball hit and go into the end zone. If they down it on you, you're going to lose a couple yards from where you stand, but take the gamble.
Ray Jarrett's Pine Bush is in a hole in their inside their own 5-yard line.
It's funny how a game of football goes, Gary. They say it's a small line between being successful and unsuccessful. Middletown almost blew the punt, and now they're knocking on their door. Pine Bush has got the ball, but they got him pinned.
Hasbrook eluding trouble in the backfield. Had trouble with the snap and getting off an excellent kick. First and 10 now for Pine Bush, the 3 in that quarterback draw. And this could be a golden opportunity for Middletown. Under 5 seconds to go in the period, and that probably will be the final play of period number 3. And it is. So the score at the end of 3, the same as it was at the end of 2. Middletown and Pine Bush all knotted up at 7 apiece. Don't go anywhere. When we come back to 4th period, you're watching the Cable 6 game of the week. It's anniversary time at Serta Mattress, and May D, Serta's largest area dealer, is celebrating. Up to 50% off any Serta mattress or box spring. Thousands in stock to choose from. And at May D's Mattress Factory Outlet and May D's Sleep Shop, there's never a charge for delivery, setup, or removal of your old set. Now is the time to buy a Serta at May D. May D's Mattress Factory Outlet, their Wallbounds Plaza in Bales Gate, and May D's Sleep Shop on Route 9 in Poughkeepsie. Don't go to sleep on this deal.
Tired of your home's appearance? Then revitalize your home with Durastone. Exclusively installed by Joseph's Construction. Durastone is a superior quality stone veneer that can be applied to any existing surface. Durastone helps insulate your home and will never need maintenance. And Durastone is available in a variety of designs and colors that will add natural beauty to any structure. Revitalize your home with Durastone by Joseph's Construction. For a free estimate, call 1-800-824-7888, operator 611 today.
3rd down and 9. Make it 2nd and 9. Murphy on the misdirection. Good coverage that time by Middletown. Fotis Manavelis in on the hit, along with number 99, Mr. Charles Clemmer.
You know, we haven't seen Pine Bush do a whole lot different. They seem to stay to 4 or 5 different plays throughout the entire game. I think the biggest difference we see today, Gary, is a difference in this Middletown team than when we were here back in September. They look like a brand new ball club.
They have a 3-2-2 overall mark. They've been in every ball game. Fumbles and turnovers, the lament of Dick Wolfslayer. 3rd and 6. Bobby DeBeauvernay.
He laid a line on him. No doubt about that. He got the stick, and he made sure it was felt. Here you'll see it. Watch, Coach. He's looking to pass, but there's just nobody to throw the ball to. Good coverage downfield. DeBeauvernay lays one on him.
DeBeauvernay with the debop on the head. And now, Torchio punting from his own end zone. Off the side of his foot. Smith. Brought out of bounds on the near sideline after gaining 12, but there's a flag on the play, and it could be against Middletown.
I think you're going to see it for a bad block there, Gary, against Middletown, so they'll take it back about 15 from that point, from the point of the foul.
And
bad kick, but a good roll. Here you see, already it's happened.
A little out of camera range, but the call against Middletown, it'll be a major. It will be 15. Ray Jarris, what did you see on that play?
I think they called him, Gary, for blocking below the waist. Unless it was a clip. I couldn't quite see the players who were in front of me, but it was probably below the waist.
You got that right.
Middletown coaching staff a bit incensed at that call, but they are in excellent field position. They're at the 46-yard line. Well, they'll pick it up 1st and 10. Rivera, and he has used that play to success numerous times, going off the left side of that Middletown offensive line, Fotis Manavelis and Vinny Azu. And there have been holes all ball game long over those two gentlemen, along with the center, Brad Witt. 2nd down and 7. Just a reminder, conclusion of the ball game, the Cable 6 offensive and defensive players of the game, providing we still have natural light. Hasbrook. Man of 1,000 moves.
I'll tell you, he looked like a new style of breakdancing on that play because he did 98% of that all by himself. He gets a couple of blocks early, and that's it. Here he gets wrapped up, he gets hit, he steps it, gets there, oversteps that one, and then just hold on 3 yards and I'll let you down.
There have been a number of occasions this afternoon where Pine Bush has had shots to Middletown runners and have been unable to bring them down, something I'm sure the coaches will point out when they review the films. Worthy Smith, right side. At the bottom is Shannon, and at the top was number 44, and we've called his name a great deal, Danny Wyman for Pine Bush. 9:16 and counting. This drive starting on the 46-yard line, and Middletown in excellent field position. Remember, Middletown needs a virtual miracle to climb into that conference championship game. Pine Bush can only make it if they win their next 2 games, and Washingtonville beats Monroe. But let's not speak of the future because the present right now is giving Pine Bush a lot of problems. Hasbrook brought down in the backfield by Bobby Anderson. Good pursuit that time, along with Henry Smith, number 66.
It's the first good rush we've seen in a while in this half by Pine Bush. Watch Hasbrook, he comes back. He wants to sprint to his left, but that's shut off. And he comes back in just a good pursuit on the part of the Pine Bush D.
And we have that blind side hit, Mike, and Hasbrook was very fortunate he didn't cock his arm to throw there because he could have coughed it up.
Well, he saw he was going to get hit, and he kind of pulled it in a little bit more.
3rd down and 19. Getting a little dark here in Middletown.
And chilly.
Hasbrook, straight back. Looking downfield for Rogers. Oh, my!
There you see the feeling of most of the fans. Watch this. He does a good job here. He sidesteps and then throws it kind of 3/4 arm. Now watch this. I think his own man hurt him. I think number 85, Birch, hurt him.
John Birch played pass defender on that play, negating a possible catch by Chris Rogers. And there you see Rogers being consoled on the sideline. And Hasbrook threw that ball almost 50 yards in the air, right on target. Back to punt. Is Mr. Punt, Pass, and Kick. So Pine Bush escaping once again from the claws of the Middletown offense. Ray Jarris, how did you see that play? It looked to us like John Birch, number 85, might have interfered with his own player, Chris Rogers.
Well, the ball had 2 receivers in the same place, and they both went after the ball like you're supposed to do, and they did get in each other's way. It looked like a touchdown all the way. I think that I'm going to make a prognostication. Is that what that says?
Or a prediction. One of the two.
I'll make a prediction. I think I'm better at that. That Middletown's going to win this with a long pass.
You've heard it from Ray Jarrett, 7:58, period number 4.
Ooh, talk about a man that likes to walk on limbs.
That's right. That's Cameron.
I'll tell you one thing, though, Ray. We talked at halftime about the ability of Cameron in the second half and how you thought he was going to be a big factor for Pine Bush, and I think Middletown is taking away a lot of that factor. Would you agree with their defense here?
I have to give credit to Fenner. He's number 57. He's come in there. He's made some good plays. He's been very effective for them, and he's helped them out tremendously.
2nd down and 9. The analysis from field and press box continues. Watkins. Cameron. Once again, Cameron brought down Fotis Manavelis.
He's a man this week when you talk to Dick Wolfslayer, Gary, and repeated some of the conversation to me today, that Dick says, this is my kid. This is like my bread and butter guy. You know, he's the glue that holds this whole thing together. Well, I'll tell you what, Elmers would be happy to bottle him up because he's pretty adhesive out there with this unit this afternoon. He's having a good game.
7 minutes and counting. He certainly is, as are a host of Middletown defenders, and Pine Bush for that matter, because it is 7 apiece. And Malloy taking one too many, one too soon. Let's go down to Ray Jarris. Ray, you think Middletown is going to win on a long pass. Why?
Well, because Pine Bush seems to be vulnerable to that. They have so many people up on the line of scrimmage. I think Pine Bush will have to do it on first down, or excuse me, Middletown will have to do it on first down because that's when they'll probably be most susceptible to it. That play was one of those inside reverses that time they were trying to set up, Gary, but they didn't quite get it off.
Ray, I just got a call from Syracuse. They'd like you in the Carrier Dome next week to do the Syracuse BC game.
Yes, the only trouble is at Boston College.
3rd and 11. Big play for Pine Bush. Aren't they all? Watkins. No, sir. Let's call this number again. Fotis Manavelis.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Ray mentioned Fenner and Manavelis here. They're having some game, this defense. If we're talking at halftime about if you're a defensive coach, you got to be pretty happy, and if you're an offensive, you weren't too upset either. If you're a defensive coach this second half for Middletown, you're absolutely ecstatic.
Dave Torchio at his 5-yard line. Smith. Dancing in the night. And Middletown over midfield into Pine Bush territory. And we'll see if the Ray Jarez selection and prognostication comes through.
This is definitely a different Middletown football team than the first time I was here. I know we're a little critical of the way that they ran certain offenses that day. And I think going back to that day, deservedly so. But here, you got to give them credit. They've come out and played a whale of a game.
And we're going to take one whale of a timeout. 5:38 to go, period number 4. Let's take a break. As you see Dick Wolslayer exhorting his squad.
I'm John McMickle, Orange County legislator from the 21st District. For many years, I've run a successful insurance and income tax business in the Middletown area. This experience has helped me to be a successful county legislator. I'm running for re-election, and I need your support.
John McMickle is a hard-working, outspoken, independent legislator and will continue working on the problems of the county and community for you.
Vote for me, John McMickle, an experienced Orange County legislator from the new 21st District.
Hello, I'm Marty Pasanti, and I'd like to welcome you to the Villaroma Country Club.
The Villaroma, for the splendor of Rome away from Rome, in the heart of the Sullivan County Catskills.
5:33 to go, Fowler Field. Pine Bush trying to hold on for their American Conference lives here against Middletown. Hasbrook looking downfield for Smith. Wesley Smith.
Yes, the prognosticator on the sideline has called it.
Let's go. Ray Jarez on the sideline, Mr. Crystal Ball.
I almost ran out there and threw a block for Wuzzy. I tell you, I was rooting for him more than anybody else.
It's great to be right. Don't talk to me.
Isn't it nice when you're right? I'll tell you. What a good feeling it is to call it. Watch Hasbrook, if we have enough time to complete it, a 41-yard completion. There you see, Wuz says, this is for you, Ray.
That's it, baby. 1st and goal from the 8-yard line. Middletown and Wesley Smith in motion. Rivera left side pulled down by Torchio. And I must compliment the Middletown crowd on this homecoming day. They have been into this ball game from the opening kickoff.
They sure have. Even when Pine Bush came down and scored, they were not deflated in their spirit at all. They came right back and held with these guys, and I don't think they're not a factor right now.
They're playing loose, they're playing confident, and they're playing good football. Pine Bush has dodged the bullet a number of times. Hasbrook, he's got a man open. Rogers, knocked away by Rampy.
That's what you call a touchdown-saving play by Rampy right there, because that had 6 points. You could just about read it on the football from the press box. Rogers just runs a little out, nothing fancy here, and Hasbrook has time to set up with throwing just that. I mean, that's just a saving.
We saw Rampy do that at Pine Bush against Washington, though. It's a good defender. 2nd down and goal. Make it 3rd down and goal. Hasbrook, pitch out Hasbrook. Run for your life, Ben Gazzara. 4th down.
Here's a call. Do we get the field goal guy and we go for 3?
I think we do. Ray Jarvis, would you go for a field goal here?
There's no question about that. Gary, on those pass plays, the one thing Middletown is doing wrong, they're not picking up that defensive end. Hasbrook is making great plays, in my opinion, because he's getting a rush on him. They're not picking up that defensive end.
I agree with you. Bob Anderson's been pressuring him this afternoon, number 89.
All right, let's set the stage. 26-yard field goal. Chris Costello. We have an official's timeout because that is the 4-minute warning. Big field goal. Chris Costello, 26 yards. He's straight in front of the goalpost. The holder, Chris Rogers. The kick is up. And it is wide to the left. So Chris Costello, 0 for 2 in the field goal department. And once again, Pine Bush, as you take a look at the Pine Bush faithful, they dodged the bullet.
Well, I'll tell you what, they got about one bullet left to bite on, and that's this offensive series of plays right here. They have to come down the field and put some points on the board. I don't think there's any question of that, is there, right? They got to get the offense flowing again.
But when they have done that today, they've been very susceptible to an interception. So Middletown still has a good shot, I think.
So you look basically for them to try and power it down on the run.
I think they're going to put it up. I think they just don't have the time to run it out.
3:51, fourth period. The Pine Bush season may be riding on the line. Murphy, option. Knocked away by Middletown.
Well, I'll tell you, he's 2 for 2. And dangerous throw there. I don't know if I'd throw it up. If I'm tied 7-7, I got the power of a Cameron and the speed of a Murphy. I would go against you. I'd keep the ball on the ground to go with my strongest point.
They don't have the passing attack that is a dominant type of passing attack, so it's almost like they're grasping at straws from behind.
Exactly, and to throw a football like that there at this point of the game, ooh, that's a tough move.
2nd and 10. Coach motioning Shannon to get a little farther out on the slot, and now we have a delay.
Time. Too much time. What you hear is not the marching mini band, it's the fans pounding on the press box. They are keyed up and full of spirit, and they're releasing some of it inside, and we're in the middle of this tin box.
I want to go down to the field to Ray Jarvis. Ray, with a Pine Bush passing attack, which is the secondary part of their offense, it seems to me that they're really having trouble getting any type of fluidity on their offensive sets when they go to pass.
Well, at that time, that was the wingback option pass, but the trouble with that is when you run those people, there's no option. You know they're going to throw it no matter what. That's their day in the sun, and they're going to do something with it, and you saw what happened.
Debo Bernay knocking that pass down. Middletown certainly has the momentum.
Without a doubt, Gary. They got the mode, they got the crowd, they have... right now, they have the field position as well. So you got 3 minutes and 42 seconds. You got a 3rd down and at least 15 yards to go. You got a tough call.
And every time that the pass is incomplete, the clock stops, which gives Middletown, if they do get the ball, that much more time to get back and try to score.
The only thing here for Pine Bush is you're in a 4-down situation. Now they got to call timeout to save another 5 yards.
And now we have a timeout.
Pine Bush.
Pine Bush. Good call, Mr. T. 3:42 to go, 4th period. We're going to take a break. We're all knotted up 7 apiece on the Cable 6 game of the week. We'll be back right after these messages.
You know, I never knew an armchair quarterback worth a hoot that didn't have a good, comfortable recliner. And this is a comfortable recliner. With a fully reclining love seat and a sofa with right and left reclining arms. Hey, it is an armchair quarterback's dream come true. And tough, lifetime warranty on recliner mechanisms. Yes, sir. You've been knocked around as much as I have. You learn to appreciate a little comfort.
Trendline.
Available at Canan's Furniture Showcase, Middletown.
You're on your way to the airport. There's just enough time to catch your plane, but you'll make it. No need to worry. You'll find that exit up ahead. Or was it back there? And you can surely make that dash across the airport parking lot with all your luggage in the... Take the easy way out to the airport. Take Short Line. 15 convenient stops in Orange County, and we drop you off right in front of the terminal, so you'll arrive feeling cool, calm, and collected. For a $5 discount coupon, call Short Line 1-800-631-8405.
Nice drive.
The crowd enormous in their volume here. Third down, 15. Pine Bush, deep in their own territory, have not had any type of offensive movement at all here in the second half. Reverse inside handoff, Murphy gets maybe 5 on the play.
Now you got to remember they're in a 4-down situation, so that means that they're going to punt the ball. Well, I'll tell you, Marsh, you faked me out because with 3 minutes left, I think I might even try here and try and, hold them on defense.
Which is what they're going to do.
Well, they're going to kick and try and hold them. I think I would have ran another offensive play.
Torchio. Wazzie Smith on the run. Excellent field position. Ray Jarrett's down on the field. What do you go to start your offensive set?
Well, what I would do is I'd put the ball up top and try to go beyond that secondary. But you got to block that in. So I'd make an adjustment, block that in, and then see what happens.
I'll tell you, he hasn't been wrong. How can I go against him? I don't think Dick's going to play for a tie here, that's for sure.
No reason to. First and 10, 2:50 and counting. Hasbrook. He's going to keep it.
Look at this running by Preston Hasbrook.
Bob Anderson from behind bringing down Hasbrook, and he has been magnificent this afternoon, has Preston Hasbrook from Middletown.
Watch this, Gary. He's set up. He wants to throw the ball. Good coverage by the Pine Bush secondary. Breaks the tackle there, sidesteps the tackle there, and then picks up about 16 yards on the play. We got a first down for Middletown, and we haven't moved the chains. Let's move the chains, guys. Come on.
Clock is not running. Preston Hasbrook is such an offensive weapon. Don't think there's any doubt that Middletown has controlled play here in the second half. They just have not been able to put any points on the board, but they have been in the Pine Bush defensive end all second half, and it remains to be seen if Pine Bush can once again hold off this midi charge as Damon Hasbrook goes in motion. Rivera, and he was hit immediately by Kevin Holland. Brad Gage reporting into the ball game, bringing in the play from Dick Wolfslayer. 2:14 and counting. Ray Jarrett, that seems to be a pretty conservative play for that type of, in this type of situation.
I like that call, Gary, because that's been a very successful play for them, and we kind of forgot about that. I forgot about that. You're thinking, what are they going to do here? And they came to that play, and it's gotten them 30 or 40 yards on a few occasions, so I think it's a good call.
2nd and 9. Looking downfield, he's got Birch. Intercepted by Matt Shannon for Pine Bush. Have they dodged the bullet once again? Yes, it appears that they have.
Number 46 is the man that intercepted, Gary.
Bill McKenzie.
Bill McKenzie. Watch this, lots of time. Good blocking by Middletown. Knocked up in the air by Watkins, and McKenzie comes up with it.
If Preston might have been able to throw that ball a little sooner, John Birch was all alone.
Now I think Pine Bush has to throw the ball. Now they don't have the time to run the clock out.
1:25 and counting. The Bushmen need a win, not a tie. Coates looking downfield. Has his man over the 20 to the 22. And Coates was very, very lucky to escape a safety.
Let's go down to Ray. I want to find out. He looked like he might have been in the grass in the end zone.
Well, they had him trapped. I guess they rule obviously that they didn't have him in the grass, but it was almost the game winner right there. They really had him, and he made a nice play and got rid of the football.
Anderson on the reception. Coates almost intercepted that time from Middletown by Imbrogno as it was thrown on the wrong side of the intended receiver, Doug Murphy.
I think in the NFL, that might have been 2 points the way they call it this year.
Let's set the stage. 58 seconds to go, period number 4. Middletown, Pine Bush. They both scored in the first period. It has been scoreless since that time. Middletown attempting 2 field goals, one from 26 and one from 46. Unsuccessful on both tries. Rampy split wide to the left. Motion penalty that time. Almost intercepted again by Middletown.
Oh!
Again, Tommy Imbrogno.
He's been everywhere in the defensive backfield when the ball goes into the air, hasn't he? Good football here in Middletown this afternoon. There you see the throw, and there's nobody there but Imbrogno. He picks it up. It's Middletown's ball because the flag goes against Pine Bush.
So Pine Bush will be 5 back, something they could ill afford at this point. 53 seconds to go, 3rd down and 10. I believe Middletown has 2 timeouts left. And I sure do love this banging on the press box. Makes the broadcast that much smoother. Coates, hit from behind. Intercepted by Clemmer.
Well, intercepted by Clemmer. Middletown's got the ball. It's going to come back because of a bad block. But nonetheless, they have 42 seconds to put some points on the board. They're going to get possession of the ball somewhere around midfield by the time the penalty comes off. Watch the pressure put on there. And Clemmer just waits. Takes it up and runs back. There was a bad block. They're going to have a major penalty against them. So they're going to end up somewhere around midfield to start off this possession with just 42 seconds left.
Ray Jarrett's Middletown has camped out on the Pine Bush side of the 50 all half, but yet have been unable to put the points on the scoreboard.
Definitely. Clemmer made a great play there. He laid back. The old tip drill was in effect that time. He got the tip. He's played really well all day. We haven't said his name too much, but he's been a big factor in the defense this afternoon.
1st and 10, 37 seconds and counting. 48-yard line. Middletown. Pine Bush. OCL American Conference. Hasbrook still on his feet. He's inbounds. The clock will not stop. And timeout being called by Middletown with 18 seconds to go in this ball game.
What a football game you are seeing today. This is one of the great high school games I've seen in 4 years. Not a lot of scoring, but boy, a lot of great football being played. Watch Hasbrook, comes back, gets ready to set up. Good coverage downfield, scrambles out of the pocket, sidesteps a couple of tackles. I'm a little surprised he didn't take a more direct route to the out-of-bounds marker.
Okay, Preston Hasbrook limps off the field with a apparent ankle or foot injury. Hugo Munchesang comes into the ballgame. Hugo thought to be the better pure passer of the two. That's what you need at this point. You got to go downfield.
Boy, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't care how good Munchesang might be at passing the football over Preston right at this point. I want Preston Hasbrook in there just for his ability that with pressure on that he can scramble out of the pocket, and he's such a strong runner.
2nd down and call it a yard. I've been calling it a lot this afternoon. Call it this and call it that.
You know, Hasbrook has the flow going with he and his 10 other teammates out there on the field. I think a change like this is very unfortunate. Not that Munchesang may not come through, but it's just such a big break in the flow for the offensive side, Ray. Would you agree with that observation?
I think the only thing that Middletown might have going for it here is that Pine Bush might be in a gambling situation. A tie is no good for them. They have to just try to do something to win. A tie is like a loss. So maybe they'll gamble and do something where Middletown can capitalize and they'll take over for the gamble.
18 seconds to go. Danny Wyman, Middletown, calling timeout with 10 seconds to go. I believe that is their final timeout of the 2nd half. We will take a break. 10 seconds to go. 4th period. It's been one hell of a ball game. We'll be back after this message.
So, thought you'd make one more month without HBO, didn't you? Check us out in November. Then let's talk. Movies, more than 50 big ones. Places in the Heart, Dune, Body Double, Originals, Rich Little and a Night of 42 Stars. Series, First and 10, not necessarily the news. Come on, call your cable company and get it all this super fall.
I can say with certainty that after serving 4 years as your mayor, that this is not and cannot be an individual or part-time effort.
It's kind of a little charade to say that it's a full-time position or that he is there full-time. I certainly will be there as much as the city needs him.
The Middletown Mayor's race, just one of many local contests. The Cable 6 News team will follow with our live election night coverage that begins at 9 p.m. Tuesday, November 5th on Cable 6, the place to turn election night.
The Pine Bush defensive unit. They have been under fire all ball game long. They have withstood the constant pressure by Middletown. And the Middies on their way to their third tie of this season. They tied Cornwall, they tied Monroe, and it looks like, unless, I don't want to speak too soon, but with 10 seconds to go, they may have their third tie of this ball game. Preston is back in. This is it right here. Holland, quarterback sack.
3 seconds left. That's a 4th down. Well, now you snap the ball and you sit on it.
Pine Bush calls timeout. And all Middletown has to do is sit down. But if you're Middletown, you're going to go for the bomb.
You got to throw it, of course. You got to go for the points. Take one last, what do they call it, the old Hail Mary when BC threw it down in the Orange Bowl that time.
Ray Jarris, what kind of play do we call? What do we zig and what do we zag?
Tough call, Gary. You know, if you could throw the ball in the end zone 70 yards, then you got a chance to run that if you could protect yourself that long. Maybe a screen pass or something to Wuzzy, and where you get the defense dropping deep, and Wuzzy can take the ball and run. That might be the best I can come up with at this time.
Not using any of those old tight end plays of yours, huh?
No, not at all.
We got 3 seconds left in the game. We haven't mentioned the offensive and defensive players of the game.
Our selections for offensive and defensive players both come from Middletown. Number 58, Fotis Manovelis on defense, and number 14, Preston Hasbrook on offense. And it has been a magnificent game.
Very deserving of that.
And yes, even though it's cold outside, the Mike Terrell fan club in attendance here at
Just shows you that there's brilliance in Middletown as well.
3 seconds to go. 7-7. Throw it up and say a prayer. Draw play. Rivera brought down. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your ball game. The final score. An exciting contest at Fowler Field. Middletown and Pine Bush ending up at 7 apiece. When we come back, our players of the game and some post-game comments. You're watching the Cable 6 game of the week.
How important an advertising medium is cable television? How sophisticated and selective are advertisers like these? Cable television is very important, and every year, as more and more communities are wired, cable television becomes even more important. Important not just for big advertisers with enormous budgets, but for those who advertise on a local level, advertisers who are probably a lot like you, because dollar for dollar, cable television reaches more of the people you want to reach the way you want to reach them. Local advertisers like you are putting money into cable television because they've discovered cable television combines the sight, sound, movement, and color of broadcast television with the ability to target your message to the audience you really want to reach. Cable television, what could make more sense for you?
And welcome back to Fowler Field. A tremendous ball game. Middletown and Pine Bush battling down to the end, knotting up at 7 apiece. And standing with me are offensive and defensive players of the game. They're a little downhearted now, but there's no reason for them to be because they played tremendous ball games. First of all, on my left, Preston Hasbrook, our offensive player of the game. Just a super, super ball game. Tell us about that pass play that looked like John Birch and Chris Rogers may have gotten a little tangled up there. That was 50 yards in the air and almost a touchdown.
That was just almost like a bootleg pass, and they were supposed to go to the end zone. And when I threw it up, I think that Birch interfered with Chris when he went to catch it. threw off his concentration.
You were running the wishbone so well this afternoon. Did you see holes in that Pine Bush defense that you could exploit? You just seemed to have total command of the reads and everything that was going on out there.
Well, let's see. They was crashing on the dive, and on the pitch they was playing soft, so I was just trying to cut up inside and then get the ball out, but sometimes it just didn't work.
You were breaking a lot of tackles. Were you finding that they were hitting you a little too high and was enabling you to keep on going? Or are you just quick and to the point?
That's it. I'm just quick and to the point. I have good moves, and I shook them.
You went down in that first quarter and you scored on a 60-yard drive, a tremendous drive. Did you think at that point that there was going to be a lot of points on the board this afternoon?
Yeah, because they scored and then we came right back, and I thought it was going to be like that all game, but it wasn't.
Listen, tremendous ball game. No reason to be frustrated. Great ball game. Preston Hasbrook, our offensive player of the game. Now, Fotis Matavelis, our defensive player of the game, shut them down completely in that second half.
Well, in the first half, they gave us a lot of trouble with the counter plays up the middle because we were keying on Cameron too hard. You know, they played a great ball game, and I was just flying. I was keying on Cameron, and come back up the middle with Murphy, and it gave us a lot of trouble. Then we just started playing a little better defense in the second half.
Now, that first series, when they had the ball, they just rolled right through you, blowing you guys off the line of scrimmage, getting into your linebacking and secondary situations. What adjustment did you make after that?
Well, like I said before, Cameron, I didn't think he was that fast. He ran off tackle pretty fast, so I was taking the gap. And in the second half, our coach told us to just keep our shoulders square and just go up and down the line of scrimmage, and it worked.
What about in this second half? Did you get a little frustrated because there were so many opportunities to score and you just couldn't seem to put the ball in?
Yeah, it hurts, but we just have to hang together. Anybody could have won the ball game, the missed field goals and the turnovers, everything. It was just really close.
Was this as good a game as Middletown's played defensively this year?
Yeah, I'd say so. In the second half. The first half was a little shaky, but the second half was just as good as any game we've played all year.
One thing I was very impressed with was how psyched up you guys were and how hard-hitting you guys were this afternoon, even though it would have taken a miracle for you to get into the title game. How did you prepare during the week?
Well, Coach Wilser told us, he said we had to keep our heads up, and it's just a matter of pride. We wanted to come out here, and there was nothing to lose, so it's just pride. We didn't want to get run over by Pine Bush. It's just the way it is. They were playing for pride, too. They have nothing to lose, so.
Okay. Tremendous ball game.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Fotis Matavelis, just a tremendous ball game. Now, Mr. Mike Terrell, just one of the great 7-7 games of all time.
It was a tremendous game. You know, we saw this team earlier, and I was a little critical about the types of plays they were running and how their offense was run, but today I want to tell you something. This team could have played anybody, and the way they hung in there, you know, they said Pine Bush had nothing to lose. Pine Bush had a lot to lose. This was a very detrimental game to them, very important game. A tie is as bad as a loss for them. And I think that Middletown, I said earlier in the pregame, I'd rather be in their locker room because you got to come out with the feeling that you just want to play football and have some fun. They came out, they played football. I'll tell you, this afternoon the defense was tremendous. The offense was as consistent as they've been probably all year. They had a lot of yards the first half, and the second half was really offensively was a standoff. They couldn't get the ball in the end zone, and that's the breaks. But they played a heck of a football game, I'll tell you. We'll sit back and I'll enjoy this one again on Tuesday night, I'll tell you that.
The football, the turnovers, the penalties, not evident today for Middletown. Ray Jarrett, our sideline commentator, relating back to your football days, have you ever been involved in a game, or I'm sure you were, relate to us an experience where you control the momentum an entire half and come away with just a tie?
Well, extremely frustrating is the feeling for that. They had the opportunities. You know, the one time they had the quarterback in the end zone and they didn't quite get him. They missed a field goal, and they had great chances, and they just couldn't cash in. So, you know, they're just extremely frustrated. I think for the Middletown team, it's their last time that they're ever going to play in this football field, and I think that was a lot of motivation to them. And also, I think they feel that they're a better team than they've shown this year, and they wanted to go out here and show that today. So, a lot of frustration for them.
A great ball game. Middletown 7. Pine Bush 7, and now it looks like neither will be able to go to that conference game. Pine Bush unable to defend their American Conference crown here in 1985. So for Mike Terrell and Ray Jarrett, I'm Gary Sussman. We'll see you next week on the Cable 6 Game of the Week. The Game of the Week is brought to you by La Masquerade. For fine dining, Route 17M, Goshen. First Care in Monroe. For immediate care, it's First Care. Short Line Bus, serving the Mid-Hudson area with a location near you.